What's up, BJ? How are you?
How you doing, Denise? What's going on?
Oh, you, and the great music. I mean, I'm glad we got you on the last day of Jazz Appreciation Month.
Wow, thank you so much for having
It
me.
has nothing to do with how much we appreciate jazz, though. It's just so we're gonna keep the ball, keep the music rolling all the way to Black Music Month, which is coming up in May.
That's right.
Yeah. June. Thank you, Shevry. Coming up in June. And you said that's right. Come my sister out. But tell me, I mean, okay, I got to give you a shout out. Coolidge Coat, love it, love it, love it. But how long have you been, kind of interested in jazz music?
It's interesting since I was 8 years old because my grandfather had a great a record collection. So I've been checking out the music because he had the records around, and he was a jazz drummer. So I've been studying the music, but seriously studying the music. I started playing at age 15, and I really got hooked to the music. And so around 19, when I got really serious about playing.
Wow. Okay. And tell me who were some of the artists that you just wanted to emulate or who you loved back in the day?
Yeah. So Charlie Parker was my first connection to jazz, and then I got into Jackie McLean and John Coltrane. Of course, everyone loves Miles Davis, and just started checking out a number of Blue Note artists who were signed into that label at that time. So
wow, wonderful. So who is Culture Shock?
Culture Shock is my band.
Okay.
So I'm BJ Simmons and Culture Shock.
How'd you come up with the name Culture Shock?
Well, it's interesting because I was traveling between the United States for several years. I lived in Bahrain in the Middle East.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was a culture shock because it was the first time that anyone had mentioned me as BJ the American. It's the first time I had ever heard that before, as referred to as an American.
Now, how'd you get there before you finish the story? How'd you get there?
Oh, it's interesting. So I was living in LA, and I got a call to do an artist residency in Bahrain. So I worked at this jazz club 5 nights a week, Coda Jazz Lounge. It's like the first jazz lounge in the Middle East, actually. Well, in Bahrain. Mm-hmm. So I ended up taking the art residency, and I ended up staying for 2 years.
Wow, amazing! And then became BJ the American.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, there were a bunch of expats there, but it was just me just living in a whole nother region. I had never lived outside the United States, so just coming back and forth. But the culture, the shock was just experiencing the feeling of being appreciated abroad. And feeling that energy, and just feeling that, and then coming home, and then we had Donald Trump in the White House, and so that between those two things kind of gave me a culture shock.
You and a lot of other folks as well.
yeah, absolutely.
But so I mean, it's really interesting though, also to note that, and I think about I don't know why I'm having brain freeze at the moment, but. The great jazz musician out of New Orleans, your protege. Oh God, thank you, Wynton. Because Wynton Marsalis was so adamant, about trying to ensure that young people, were exposed to jazz. I mean, we kind of get geared towards, whatever the music of the day is, but jazz, has a long history. And so, here you are. I guess our ambulance came to your neighborhood, huh?
Yeah, I'm like, wait, what's going on out here?
Pretty quick.
That was quick.
We only have 3 minutes to get there. But at any rate, I mean, so as a young person, growing up in the jazz culture and it's deciding that this is where you wanted to plant your roots, I'm just still curious. I mean, you told me who influenced you, but how you've been able to find your place in this genre.
Yeah, well, thank you for that question. I mean, having good mentors around. I studied under Calvin Jones at UDC. My high school band director, Benjamin Sands, got me into the music. I even got a chance to, learn from Davey Yarborough. And so just being around
Coolidge again. I'm sorry.
Coolidge.
We were there together.
We just keep running it. We running it. So it's just been, just having, I went to study at Norfolk State under Stephanie Sanders, just being around a lot of great musicians, and that kind of helps to, you have to be, you have to get with the elders, because that's how the music is passed down through the elders, the old tradition, and, talking about, how they did it back then. So.
And you picked up the saxophone.
The saxophone. Yep. I started playing. Yeah. My grandmother, she was like, my grandmother was an opera singer, and she was like,
wow,
I want you to play. She was a member of the National Negro Operatic Group. And,
wow.
And so she said, I love the saxophone. I want you to play the saxophone. So I played the saxophone.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Did you ever have, did you have, again, I guess you were encouraged, but how much investment did your parents make in taking lessons, or were you just sort of picked it up and could play a song right away?
Well, I do pick up things pretty fast, but I got my training earlier on. My mom, got me into the DC Youth Orchestra, and so she would pay for my lessons there, and I got to study under Michael Kelly, saxophonist, and so she did make an investment. In fact, my first horn, she bought my first. It's a quick story. I bought my first horn from Chuck, Washington Music Center, and I got it on what is it called when you pay on it, and I was paying on
layaway.
Yeah, that's how long layaway. That's how old layaway. So and then she went and just picked up my horn, and I just saw it. She was like, "Yeah, go in that closet right there." And my mom bought my horn, my Yanagi Sawa saxophone, which I still play today.
Nice. And so I know that you've toured with some greats. You want to talk about some of the folks you've toured with?
Oh, sure. Thank you. I've had the opportunity to work with rapper Wale. Did a couple of tour dates with him. Millie Jackson. Ray Goodman and Brown. I even did one jazz festival date with the great drummer Harvey Mason from the Foreplay Band. And so and also. Just Omar, the soul singer Omar, did a gig with him. I've recorded with Sonny Badu. I've done, several. I'm just blessed to be able to have worked with those artists and shared the stage with them.
Wow. As we talk too, I think about Russell. I think it's Russell Williams, who's over there at American University, who did the soundtrack for Glory. One of the first to get an Oscar for doing that soundtrack.
Yes.
And I should say one of the first African Americans to get an Oscar. But when you look at movies, movie competitions like that, and you realize, that we're still not present. What do you think we need to be doing? And not only present with regards to, being involved or being honored for our contributions, but also, the challenge that a lot of DC artists have, and maybe you've overcome that with being, picked up in different places. You said you spent time in LA and Bahrain, but, local artists are sometimes trying to figure out, where can I go to make that, move? So, how did you make that transition? And then, when you look at these movies, soundtracks, have you thought about that as a way of pursuing your career?
Yes. Well, thank you for that question too, because I just I landed my TV placement actually with the Black News Channel, and so my music is being aired. It's going to be on the State of Play talk show on Saturday and Sunday at noon. There's a shameless plug there.
No, they do it while you can.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's why you're here.
Yeah. Yep. But I saw, the scoring is something that I definitely want to get more into. I actually have scored a couple of film before. But in terms of artists breaking through, it's not an easy, it's not easy to break, but it's, just getting to know people, networking. Like, you got to talk to people, you got to be in people's faces all the time. You got to, people need to see who you are and hear you, and you got to have something that's good that people want to listen to and check you out. Because those are the building blocks, for any person who's trying to get on, and I'm still trying to get on even more. I'm still young, so there's so many things I'm still trying to accomplish. So yeah.
So and that's a good thing, and we know there are millions of people watching us right now. So so hopefully that right person is going to say, let's call BJ, let's bring him on. But no, what I I'm just, COVID has had a devastating impact, not only on restaurants and other industries, but especially on the entertainment industry, because a lot of the artists really have been sort of locked in, hopefully creating music at the same time. But how's it impacted your career? I mean, this past year, what has it been like for you?
Wow. Well, when you take an artist outside of their their comfort zone, which is the stage. Our comfort zone, believe it or not, sometimes is the stage. It's like, and so it was very difficult at the beginning, because when you take away from this synergy that you experience with working with the musicians, because you're going in, it's almost like you tell LeBron and those guys, hey, stop playing basketball for some time. It's like, no, or tell anyone who's passionate about something to stop doing it for some time, and then you get all types of reactions. People get depressed, people get sad. I mean, I personally worked on myself. I just I went to the gym more. Just tried to eat healthy, and I composed more, and that's actually how my last album came from the pandemic. Actually, it's actually birthed out of the pandemic.
So that's what I want to talk about. Your music. How can people find it? Two, I want you to talk about your last album. Sure. Where can we hear this BJ and the Culture Shock?
Sure. You can hear it on all digital platforms. You can find it wherever you listen to music, whether it's Spotify, iTunes, Apple Music. It's everywhere, and it also it's in 200 countries. Currently featured on smoothjazz.com. It was charted on number 12. Actually number 4 also as high as number 4 on the listener countdown. So you can find We Wear the Mask everywhere. BJ Simmons, We Wear the Mask.
So was the Wear the Mask sort of a takeoff on the fact that we're all wearing the mask? Is that where you got that from?
That is one part. So it's 50% of that and 50% of the fact. Actually, it ain't 50% because it's a lot more deeper than just the mask. But I actually got We Wear the Mask from the original Paul Laurence Dunbar poem, We Wear the Mask. And he wrote a song. He wrote a poem. We wear the mask that grins and lies. It hides our cheeks and fades our eyes. And so I actually, when I looked at what happened with George Floyd and Breonna Taylor, and everything what happened on the social justice end, that just kind of got me. Just watching Derek Chauvin on his neck for 9 minutes, it did something to me. That changed because that was a public lynching again. And so that really affected me. And so that's where I got the music and got the inspiration to create my most recent work, We Wear the Mask. And it's from the original poem, We Wear the Mask by Paul Laurence Dunbar.
Right. That's a fantastic story. Before we go, I just want to ask one more thing, because, the music lives on by those who expose it to the next generation. Yeah. And I know that you're, actively doing that. But how do you think young people actually are receiving jazz right now? Is it all we hear about is, the other music that they like. And of course, by being from DC, we all love go-go. But where does jazz play in the lives of young people? Do you have any thoughts about that?
What's interesting, a lot of people don't know that they're hearing jazz and the influence of jazz in the music. And so I teach the lineage of the music and showing, you know, where things came from. You know, how did we get here sonically and musically? But what I teach is that there's a message in the music. Whatever music you listen to, there's a message. And, you know, in terms of, you said receiving jazz, you know, a lot of young people are not checking out jazz music. But that's why it's so important that we teach it in school. You know, that it's, you know, it's not always about Mozart and Beethoven, but it's about Coltrane and Miles.
And a little bit of Chuck Brown too.
And a lot of Chuck Brown. A lot of Chuck Brown. And in fact, they have there's a Go-Go in the School initiative that a couple of people are forming. So yes, exactly.
Yeah. We've been talking to Charles Stevenson about that and some others. Yeah, Vijay, I'm so glad you decided to come by and spend a little bit of time with us and to talk about, you know, so what you've been involved in, particularly as we as I said, transition from Jazz Appreciation Month to Black Music Month in June.
Sure.
And so, you know, we appreciate what you're doing, the music. We're going to check you out. Ask everybody. Tell us one more time where we can find at least your latest album.
Sure. We Wear the Mask is all over. It's on iTunes, Amazon, you know, wherever you listen to music, you can find the album.
All right.
And thank you so much for having me. Appreciate that.
Thank you. All righty. All right. Well, good luck, and we will talk to you again sometime soon.
All right. Awesome. And Coolidge Coats. Shout out Coolidge Coats.